Morning, Your Honor, Dr. John Stewart, Your Honor, Pastor Ramon Margallo. I'm here to defend the case, the historical reliability of the gospel. So to frame the issue, one central question pertinent to the discussion is this: are the New Testament Gospels, the four Gospels of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, historically reliable? Are the New Testament Gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, historically reliable? The issue is raised with secularism, with the rise of modern critics and textual critics that says that the reliability of the New Testament, particularly the Gospels, in that they say that the Gospels are full of contradictions, it has manuscript discrepancies, in that they are more legendary than they are true accounts of historical events. And they also said...
Counsel, a question, is historical reliability the same as textual reliability, or is textual reliability just one component of historical reliability?
Yes, Your Honor. Textual reliability is just one of the subcomponents of the historical case. So the issue is of great importance because if these allegations are true, then our gospel is suspect. So if Christianity is centered and rooted in the person and life and ministry of Jesus Christ, and Jesus' life and ministry is recorded, most of his life and ministry is recorded in the gospel accounts of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now, if the gospels are dubious and are found in error, then much about, if not all of our Christianity will fall into pieces. So if Jesus did not exist, then everything he said in the Bible is nothing but new. But is this the case? Now let me present to you my evidence. So, to vindicate my case for the reliability of the gospel, I have two-step method to establish my point. First of all, I have two major lines of evidence. First of all, I'm going to establish the authenticity of the writings. And secondly, I'm going to establish the credibility of the writers. So we have two categories, the writings and the writers. So the former deals about whether or not the manuscript evidence we have about the four Gospels of the New Testament are historically reliable. And the latter, it deals about whether or not the events that are recorded by the writers of the Gospels, are they credible enough to record what happened in first century, particularly the life and ministry of Jesus.
Counsel, is manuscript reliability the fact that if you can reestablish the original text, does that make it true?
Your Honor, please repeat the question.
Assume we agree you've made the case that what we have today is a reliable copy of what was written originally, that the manuscript tradition can be verified so that we can say, yeah, we have an accurate reflection of the original. Does that mean that whatever it says is true?
Yes, Your Honor. We can have a confidence without any reasonable doubt that that copies we have accurately portrayed what we have written in the first century.
But the question is, does that mean the content is true? If we've established manuscript reliability, does that mean the content's true?
No, not necessarily, but there's another argument to prove about the textual.
So isn't that a separate question?
Yes.
First question is this accurately reflecting what was originally written? But then, isn't there another step, though, and that may not be what you're dealing with? Are the claims true? Because Aesop's fables can have accurate manuscript tradition, say this is exactly what Aesop wrote, but they're fables. So isn't there a two-step process? One is establish this is accurate to what was written back then. Then you go elsewhere to say the content is verified. So it's not all based on manuscripts.
Yes, Your Honor. I recognize your point and I agree. So to case in point, we have good evidence and reasons that the gospel accounts are reliable. So let me demonstrate my point. First of all, the authenticity of the writings. So the question is, do we have evidence to prove that the New Testament Gospels are reliable? Here, I'm going to give you 3 points. First of all, the existing manuscript we have, the extant manuscript we have, documents the reliability of the Gospels. So, for example, we have the Greek manuscripts, we have the translations or versions, and lastly, we have the early quotations from the church fathers. Secondly, we have also the extant manuscripts are arguably written much earlier compared to ancient secular writings. And lastly, we have extant manuscript evidence compared to secular writings. We have much greater in number, we have better manuscript, and we have more manuscript than any writings.
Yes, do you speak Greek?
No, Your Honor. By way of their profession.
Thank you, Counsel.
Okay. Back to my second point. Not only we have the authenticity of the writings, but also we have the credibility of the writers. Are the chroniclers or the writers of the Gospels credible enough to have written the biographical narratives of the life of Jesus? So let us examine. I'm going to give you 2 lines of evidence. First of all, we have traditional authorship evidence that the writers of the Gospels are who they are based on what is written. And secondly, we have what we call the criteria of embarrassment. This proves that the Gospel writers are honest and not biased. So these are just some of the lines of evidence to substantiate and establish the fact that the Gospels are reliable records of Jesus. So to that point, here is my recapitulation and summary. So do we have evidence to support the historical reliability of the New Testament, particularly Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Gospels? So the answer is affirmative. First of all, we have authentic writings. We have more manuscript, early manuscript, and better manuscripts. And secondly, we have credible writers in that they are eyewitness writers of the account, and they are all honest and not biased. So in light of all this evidence, we can say...
Counsel, let me ask
Yes,
this. What about other Gospels? The Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Philip, Gospel of Mary Magdalene?
Yes, Your Honor. I recognize the question, and I believe that is another area to be established by means of the case for the textual canon of the New Testament. However, I'm going to give you some 3 criteria why New Testament scholars for the church itself recognize whether or not some books are part of the canonical New Testament. They have these 3 criteria. First of all, we have the apostolicity. Are they recognized are they written or written by someone close to God?
Wasn't Thomas an apostle? There's a Gospel of Thomas. Wasn't he an apostle?
Yes, but there is another line of evidence, Your Honor. The criteria of orthodoxy and the criteria of consistency. So in the Lost Gospel, they are forcibly ascribed to someone named Thomas, but they are written much too late. During there's ample of time from the writings.
So in other words, it wasn't really written by an apostle, just claims to be, so
Yes,
it does not have the earmark of apostolicity. Thank you. Go ahead.
So in light of all this evidence, we have authentic writings, manuscript evidence, better manuscripts, much great in number, and we have credible writers in that they are eyewitnesses to the events, and we are all honest and not biased. So in light of this evidence, Your Honors, we can say that the Gospels are historically reliable beyond any reasonable doubt. So with that, we can say, along with Apostle Peter, when he said in 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 16, we did not follow any cleverly devised myths and fables when we made known to you about the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but we were eyewitnesses of His majesty.
Counsel, speaking of doubt, do you doubt at all?
We all have doubts, Your Honor.
So
I have mine.
did you have any doubts at all about the reliability of the New Testament?
If we don't have the original manuscript of the New Testament, we may have doubt. As long as we don't have 100% certainty, there is always a little room of doubt. However, we can have great confidence that the copies or the manuscript we have today For example, the Greek manuscript, we have nearly 6,000 manuscripts. That's only for the Greek. And we have also the translations or versions, we have more than 19,000 translations in other languages. We have the Latin, Coptic, Syriac, Slavic, and other. And we have the early church quotations. Even one of the New Testament scholar by the name of Daniel Wallace, he said that even without these translations and Greek manuscripts, can I proceed, Your Honor?
Let's continue.
Wait. Even without these Greek manuscripts, even without these 19,000 translations, we can still reconstruct the entire New Testament more than 95%, except for few verses, just by the quotations of the early church fathers. So with that, we can have any beyond reasonable doubt, and we can have confidence, although we can still have doubt, but we cannot have certainty regarding historical events.
One last question. You mentioned eyewitness accounts, but was Luke an eyewitness to the gospel events?
Your Honor, Luke is not an eyewitness per se, but his profession, he is a medical doctor, and also one of the pertinent case and aspects that he is a historian.
Okay, so he was not an eyewitness, but he investigated and
Yes,
talked.
according to his gospel, Luke, in the prologue, he states, inasmuch as many have undertaken to draw up an account regarding the things that have been confirmed among us, who were from the beginning were eyewitnesses of these events, he said. That's why we can be confident that what we have about the Gospels are historically reliable, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you.